Looks like court is now in session. What's up, guys? I'm Hunter, and here we are to do a breakdown and review for chapter 246 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is, of course, known as the decisive battle in the uninhabited. Considering there are so many people here now, is it really uninhabited? Like, there are like 10 plus people in Shinjuku now. Like, I get when you had like Gojo and Sukuna there alone, then I guess you could call it mostly inhabited. But I guess like inhabited means like people are living there, and I guess people are alive there technically. But I wouldn't say any of them are living there. Like, I don't think any of them have a house there. If there are even houses left, we know where Hikari or Ume are fighting their houses, or at least like apartment buildings, stuff like that. But they're empty, so I guess that would be uninhabited because it's just the two of them. But is that also part of Shinjuku? Regardless, the battle in the demon infested Shinjuku, part 18. I wonder if we're probably going to get like 30. I don't know. I have no idea how much longer this battle is going to go on. I'm not complaining about it. Take all the time you need. But I'm very, very intrigued. Especially at the pace this battle's going, I'm very intrigued. Especially with certain characters still not being here. But honestly, we have so much to talk about in this chapter. So let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Editing me. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. And another fun fact, I do happen to have it on me. Oh, shoot. Did I just pre-draw for Jujutsu Kaisen? Well, maybe. Let's hope the chapter's worthy then, just in case I did accidentally pre-draw. But fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And speaking of a gaggle of individuals who tend to have it on them and keep it on them at all times, let's look at this gorgeous, scrumdiddlyumptious color page real quick after I determine something. Hold on. Let me take a look in a book. I'm about to determine fate. I can see what he's cooking. Now let's take a bit of a break to break down this color page, which is looking scrumdiddlyumptious. Let's talk about the characters here. Number 1, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11. Is it 11? Can I count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think it is 11 characters on the Realman Sukuna raid in Makio Shinjuku. December 24th, 2018. That's crazy to think this manga is 5 years old. Literally and figuratively. But with that being the case, let's talk about the gaggle of individuals that are on here. 1, so interesting that the only character that's realistically smaller than Higuruma on this page is like Mei Mei and Ui Ui, who don't even appear in this chapter, when Higuruma is very clearly the focal point of this chapter. Interesting. But I suppose like his background role is meant to build up the shock and the flip and the reversal here. Though, of course, he looks scrumdiddlyumptious. I was joking. Not really. I was not joking. Why did he pull up to the fight in a suit? But still, the fact that this man pulls up with the exaggerated swagger of a guilty man who's taken so many lives of so many people on his own violent path towards his own sick, twisted satisfaction. He does look drippy. The suit does look fire. That 3-piece, scrumdiddlyumptious. Too bad Sukuna did not care. But with that being the case, I am happy that he's here. Interesting that I can't tell. Does he already have the sword on him? No, he doesn't have anything on him. He doesn't even have the hammer. So he comes, unfortunately, it doesn't look like Higuruma has it on him and keeps it on him at all times. But moving on to another character who does not have what they do end up having on him and keeping it on him at all times. I'm assuming this is mainly just for like a not spoil it for the chapter thingamajig. I think that's why he doesn't have the 7-3 sorcerer blade here. But still, I do like Ito. He's got the shiesty prepared. He's got it almost there, ready to be pulled down at any instant. He's ready to be like, he had the switch on it. So of course, while he does not have a certain ratio blade on him just yet, he does happen to have the shiesty on him and keep it on him at all times. He is prepared. The thing is though, everyone's saying it. Invest your stocks in the shiesty sorcerer. Remember the last person we invested stocks in? That was Kashimo. Look what happened to him. Actually, didn't go as nearly as bad as I thought. But remember what happened last time? We had Kashimo, and he was cooked. Remember the person we invested in before Kashimo? Gojo. Now he's cooked. Stop investing. Unless it's in... Even then, I say don't invest in Sukuna stocks, because they're probably going to drop off quickly, I don't know. But essentially, I would love to invest in the Shiesty Sorcerer, but unfortunately, my faith in the Shiesty Sorcerer is quite low just based on previous experiences. But I will admit, he is looking quite drippy. I think, unfortunately, though, like, due to so many characters wearing primarily black, JJK color pages kind of can't hit as well as a lot of other pages. I think that's why Rika was added here in the first place. Because, like, Rika and hasn't even shown up this arc. Like, not on a manifest, like, this is fully manifested Rika, obviously, but unmanifested Rika hasn't even shown up this arc. But I think the reason she's here is to add a big splash of color diversity, because, man, there's a lot of black all over this page. It's not their fault, but it just is. With that being the case, Ito looking fantastic. Choso, I like the pose he's falling in. I know it's because he's just charging up like a PB, ready, a peanut butter and jelly. He's charging it up right between his hands right there. But I love how he's falling. It's a very dynamic pose for him, falling from the heavens. He still looks serious as always. It looks like he needs to wash that though. I feel like that's not like the genuine color of his clothes. I feel like he just hasn't bathed in a while. So Choso, get in a bath, broski. There he is. Maki, where are you? Where are you? Please. And here's the thing. I know. I'm probably going to make another Maki video because I'm fiending. I'm fiending for Maki content, all right? I don't see it anywhere. No one talks about Maki. I don't know why. I get why, because she hasn't shown up in the manga to do anything in, like, what's the last? 215. That was the last time she did anything major. Other than that, she's been standing around and yapping. And trust me, I love me some standing around and yapping, but sometimes she doesn't even get to yap, but she gets one line in this. What? Hey, please. Just pretend it's Toji. Okay, just close your... I don't have a blindfold. I'm not that. I don't have one. So I was about to say, put a blindfold on, and just pretend it's Toji. Pretend you're drawing Toji. pretend you're drawing Toji, because you basically are. So just let her do something, right? Why does she look so small here? Her gains usually look way more massive than that. Come on now, don't do Maki dirty like this. Though I still do love the fact that she does have her scarring and stuff like that, and I love that she has Mai on deck. Though be careful, Maki. That thing negates their ability. You probably shouldn't be putting your fingers all over it. But another main man, the big beast, the big boss himself, Yuta Okkotsu. He's already gotten his due, though admittedly, I'm genuinely wondering, where is he? Remember, one of the first things he was supposed to do was come back. And while admittedly I don't know the exact timeline right now, like, I'm not sure where in the timeline the decapitation of Kenjaku comes in. Because I want to say it happens concurrently with Kashima's execution. Because remember, Kashima's fight wasn't actually that long. Like, he landed 3 hits and then was getting his light speed attacks blitzed. So presumably maybe Yuta's still chilling for a bit right now and waiting for Kenny to get got or weakened or off guarded by Takaba. Maybe that's what's happening. But it is kind of weird that he hasn't shown back up yet. But I will admit, he's looking saucy as ever. Super serious, locked in. Love the hair flowing through the wind. He also kind of looks like he needs to wash this or bleach it. Like, not as bad as Choso. Choso's like whites look almost brown, but Yuta, maybe you need to wipe it down with something, bro. Put a little bit of Clorox on that one, because you are looking paler than your clothes, buddy. But the sword itself looks great. It looks like he's wielding. Well, no, it's different blade bases, but interesting. Nice little katana he's got there. I like the red on it. Rika herself looking jacked and juicy as always, though I can't tell. I guess that those are supposed to be her arms, just that the arm detailing is covered by Choso and Maki here. But yeah, Rika looking fantastic. I'm hoping we get the queen versus the king. I'm still hoping Rika's kind of the basis for the merger, though. Like, actually, hold on. Can I shift over now? I think I can shift over now. I think I've covered. Let me just do another little check. Whee! All right, let me do another check. I think this concludes everybody now. I think, once again, editing me is going to have a field day. And it's probably reaching through time to smack future me. But let me do this. Because I think I covered all the back characters. All the remaining characters are good now. So, Akari Kinji, he still looks a little bit chunky. But I'm assuming that's just the big old puffer he's got on. He's ready and prepared. I can barely see the J's here, though. I don't know. The J's are low-key hidden, but I think that's mainly because Yuji's arm is in the way. So the J's are still sacred. The pants are still baggy. The puffer's still puffering. Unfortunately, the puffer got immediately annihilated, though. So No more puffer. But with that being the case, Akari's looking good as always. I know a lot of people are hating that Akari doesn't have purple hair. Like, we've kind of just been laying down Gabe's been laying down the gauntlet. That was just a stylistic choice for the cover. Unfortunately, Akari does just have this kind of hairstyle. I mean, that's fine. I'm not too mad at it. Ui maybe has low-key been backpacking the entire arc right now, so can't even knock his hustle. Shout out to my boy Ui. Mei. I mean, right now, if there's a time to go for Bird Strike, Kamotoge is gone. Maybe. You trying to save the Jujutsu world? I bet they'll pay you. I'm actually shocked. Because who's gonna pay her? Like, the Jujutsu world's falling apart. I guess she's fighting, like, I can't have money if there's no world to have money in. So I guess that's why she's fighting, but Mei. As you said yourself, Sukuna decided to destroy Bird Strike and not face tank it. So Mei. I'm just saying, no one survived it. You might as well up yourself with some more street cred. Imagine the amount of bread you'd get if you could prove that you executed Ryoma and Sukuna. And another Bird Strike in there. Well, looking good. I assume she's not going to join the battle, despite having her hammer or her axe here. But I wouldn't mind if she did. You know, every bit of extra help helps, especially considering what gets confirmed this chapter. Kusakabe. Shout outs to Kusakabe. We'll get into it. I have to make the hour-long apology video for Kusakabe because I was not familiar with his game, bro. I was not familiar. Your boy's not familiar. I'm sorry. Your boy was not familiar with Kusakabe's game. But he's looking saucy, as always. He's got like the detective jacket, though. Like that. I forget what is, not a trench coat, but kind of a trench coat. Like he's still looking drippy, though. And he's kind of pulled up in a suit himself. So, like, he's all prepared. He got the katana on. We got 2 katana wielders. And we got another sword wielder, but 2 katana wielders here. And then finally the main man. Where is he? We have the main man, Yuji Itadori himself. We still have no explanation on what these mutated arms are. I would like to say there may be like BM constructs, because now that I see they do have like proper red coloration and everything. But like, I'm not sure. But then again, they do kind of, I forget, how do they portray Choso's hands in the end? But like, the thing is, they didn't come with these elbow spikes and like the claws. If it was just the red stuff and like bands wrapped around his wrist, I could get it. But these bone structures that seem to be protruding out the back of them, I wonder what those are. That's very, very interesting. I hope we get further elaboration on those things and what they do. If they're like maybe like an homage or a parallel to Mahito, who would use like the spurs and sharp blades on his elbows to do lethal damage. I wonder. But we ain't gonna see that last chapter, because unfortunately, while Yuji Itadori is the MC, he ain't MCing that hard. But with that being the case, amazingly W color page. I love the opener. I love all the people who are going to be important in this battle. Some who have already been super duper important like Yuta, some who are likely going to be important like Itadori, someone who proved their nature like Kusakabe. In this chapter, Mei who whipped up Bird Strike, it was going crazy. Ui who's low B? Where's my English? Low-key been whipping up this entire battle himself. Hakari Kinji currently fighting Uraume. The Shiesty Sorcerer proving why he is, in fact, the Shiesty Sorcerer, pulling up soon enough. And even Choso doing absolutely nothing. We'll get into it, though. I'm sorry I spent so much time on the color page. Let's actually hop into the chapter itself. See, a friend of mine saw, because I didn't name a quick review because I wanted to take up the full 100 characters. I don't know. It's something that makes me feel better. When I take up a majority of the characters in the YouTube title, it makes me feel better. No other reason. I love getting that perfect 100. But a friend of mine asked me, dude, why'd you upload a review twice? And I was like, you see, my friend, some people like it when I yap unabated. And this is what these reviews are. When I yap unabated about every little detail that I like and find in these chapters. But other people, they have like lives that they do not want to just put me on in the background for. And thusly, they want a short review. That's why I have 2 reviews now. I have this one that's full, long, and in depth where I go into everything, which I hope you guys enjoy. I'm sorry they go on for so long, but hopefully you can tell these come from a place of passion. Like, I do love breaking down the chapters as in depth as I do and talk about the character stuff and stuff like that. But at the same time, I hope you guys enjoyed the shorter reviews, because those are also kind of fun to do. Limiting myself to 5 minutes, trying to actually go with it. How's that phrase go? Like, brevity is a source of wit. Trying to be witty under a much shorter period of time. It's still fun in of itself. So I hope you guys enjoy the double dichotomy, whichever you prefer. In fact, which ones do you guys prefer? If you don't mind telling me, if you're here 15 minutes into the video, if you don't mind telling me, which ones do you prefer? Do you prefer the longer reviews or do you prefer the shorter reviews? I don't know. Let me know. What would that being the case? We see Higuruma realize, darn it, my lack of battle experience is showing at a time like this. Sukuna's curse technique is alive and well. Team Jujutsu High is in a desperate situation. And Itadori naturally cries loudly, Higuruma! Because obviously it looks like Higuruma's cooked here. But before we get into me not being familiar with Kusakabe's game, let me just I'm saying, your boy was wrong, all right? I'll take it. Your boy was wrong. I'm more than ready. But with that being the case, going back in time, back to reality, I still think this is the best scenario. Because we don't know about Kamutoke. And the thing is, Kamutoke, I know a lot of people got on my case for saying it was a worthless thing. And that was only kind of introduced so this scenario could happen. But fine. Let's say it isn't worthless. It was more dangerous. It's a cursed tool. It likely does not have its own cursed energy cost for Sukuna. So he could have just kept spamming it. He would have started spamming that instead of what he spams in this chapter, which is Cleaving Dismantle. And every time he uses Cleave and Dismantle, no matter how little of his cursed energy mana meter it takes away, it's still less and less and less and less. So they can still war attrition him down with this. So ultimately, while Higuruma didn't get what he wanted specifically, the weapon that was Shrine, I still think this is good enough. Good enough. It's quite good, if I do say so myself. So I will put respect on Higuruma's name. Even if he didn't get exactly what he wanted, he still made a really, really good play and is ultimately very, very vital in taking away Kamutoke. However, we got to get into the main man I got to apologize to. Kusakabe, my friend. I was not familiar with your game. I did not in fact realize you did in fact just have it on you and keep it on you at all times. As we see Kusakabe spits out the stick as he has activated new shadow style simple domain. I'm glad I recognized it. At the end of the last chapter I mentioned it. It looks like he's using simple domain just because of how he was posed up at the end. It looks like he did. And I like that. I like that. And simple domain did in fact work. Simple domain is a seemingly, I'm not sure if it's evolved or devolved variation of domain implication. Apparently, I've read somewhere that apparently domain implication does defend you from sure hits of domains. But then what happened with Jogo? Like, very specifically Jogo, because I don't think Choso was using domain amplification, nor Mahito. I don't think either of them were using domain amplification. But way back when, if domain amplification does work to defend from sure hit techniques, why were they so scared of a limited void if they would just, domain amp it? I don't know. That one feels weird to me. I saw it, and from the person who posted it, I trust what they say, because they post with sources all the time, but not only have I not been able to find that source independently, even though I didn't look that hard though, so that's mostly on me. But also, it kind of just doesn't make sense with that earlier Gojo Unlimited Void moment. Jogo shouldn't have been caught if domain amplification stops sure hit techniques. And same thing with Sukuna. If he could just use domain amplification to get through Unlimited Void, then why wouldn't he? There's no reason not to. So some weird stuff about that. But regardless of all that, that goes back to Kusakabe using new shadow style simple domain well enough that he was able to weaken the attacks of Ryomen Sukuna. And we see Sukuna himself is even like, I ain't no way I just said that. Ain't no way I'm seeing that for real. Huh? No. You've gotta be. Like, he looks so bamboozled here. He actually looks pretty annoyed. We see, once again, Kusakabe with the so Kusakabe is heavy. Shout out to Broski. Shout outs to Broski. I'm sorry. I deeply apologize for my transgressions and misdemeanors, bro. Kusakabe is him. He's him. And presumably he reacted. He genuinely reacted to Dismantle. And considering what we learned about Dismantle this chapter, Gojo losing just gets more and more embarrassing by the chapter. Oh, by the chapter. And the thing is, their plan makes less and less sense the more time goes on. Like, I'm planning a video about it. I'm going to make a video critiquing their plan, and I'm going to make a video explaining my own plan, using all the same variables, all the same information or lack thereof. I'm going to go in and I'm going to make my own plan using the resources we have at hand, trying to defeat Sukuna, and I'll make two variations of the plan with saving Megami in mind and executing Megami. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. But man, dog, Gojo, bro, how did you not do it? Whatever. We see that Kusakabe is in fact different, and we see that Sukuna realizes something that does clarify some things, but ultimately just does other characters worse, and we're gonna talk about that in a second. Sukuna notices this. Let me take a sip, because Sukuna's voice is really, really deep, and I try to add gravel to it, and gravel always tears up. I don't want to say tears on my throat, because that sounds like that, but I already said tears on my throat. So it tears on my throat, but let's see. Drink your water, folks. Let's see. It's not just the brat. They've all leveled up their fundamentals in cursed energy strengthening. So, now, admittedly, this is still super vague. This is omega giga trigger vague in terms of what that means. Like, leveled up your fundamentals in cursed energy strength. What does that mean? Again, like how are they 1.1 times stronger, 1.2 times stronger, 1.3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 times stronger, 3 times, 4 times, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, trillion, billion, quintillion, 9 million, like, which is it? I have no idea. Genuinely, I have not a clue. But what this does mean is that Yuki sucks. She's a base Yuta victim. Because presumably, if characters, I hate to say this, but if characters as random, and I also hate to say this, considering me, but like, as old as Kusakabe are able to up their curse energy reinforcement to the point where their speed and physicals have increased so much that they can react to and deal with dismantles from Sukuna, to the point where he wasn't expecting it, meaning he, based on what he knew of them before, the dismantle he threw out, what he thought would be enough to simply get rid of them. For them to be this much more powerful, Yuta's crazy. So I was initially against the idea that Yuta may just be like able to one-shot Ryu and Uro now, considering how much he was struggling with them before. But if Kusakabe, of all characters, is out here reacting and simple domaning up against dismantles which were fast enough to catch Satoru Gojo off guard, and Satoru Gojo off 4 black flashes in a dream, who was lost in the curse energy sauce, that's how Satoru Gojo was hit with, admittedly, a strength and dismantle, but he was even at the start of the battle when he was fully fresh, he was seeing dismantle and he couldn't avoid it, he had to let it proc and bounce off his infinity. Like, huh? What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? This is getting crazy. So Yuta just being, I guess, Yuta's just him. A base Yuta is now likely stronger than, I mean, like, how far do you go, though? Like, what is the... Has Rika gotten stronger? Like, sure, I've expected them on time skip to give him some amps, but, like, I was expecting Kusakabe. But once again, I apologize. I was not familiar with this game, but, like, if I'm thinking about this on a power scale metric, Kusakabe, who was out here, like, shaking and shivering in front of, around Jogo and stuff like that. But then, you know what? Here's the thing. Kusakabe may just be the exception. He may be the Gyeong, like, unlike the Gyeong bells that toll away and the blooms that eventually fade. Maybe Kusakabe really is. I do have a jacket, but it's all the way over there. But maybe he is just the exception. Because this is the same man who, he either face tanked it, simple domained it, redirected something. He did something to a maximum Uzumaki that was already mid-firing. He did do that. So maybe Kusakabe's just always been crazy and I've been consistently sleeping on him. When I do a power tier list, I may have to put Kusakabe up there now. Because he's out here reacting to dismantles from 20 Finger Sukuna. Something that Jogo couldn't do. You know, a sorcerer or a curse that was nearly as fast as Naobito, the fastest sorcerer alive. Next to Satoru Gojo. But I guess now they're both gone, so it doesn't matter what they are. And Uzumaki's? Like, excuse me, sorry, that gastric pressure burst. But what? Like, this is insane. This is just insane to me. And once again, if Kusakabe's that him, how him is Yuta now? Does he just victimize the majority of the verse? And here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. The one complaint I do have with this is retroactively, it does make this not being the opener so stupid. So stupid. So idiotic. Why would you not open with Higuruma then? If it was this, why not open with Higuruma? And I know y'all will be like, well, pencil in that scenario, then maybe something bad would happen. They just get 10 shadows. But yeah, if they open with Higuruma and they get 10 shadows out the way, no Kamutoke, say Hakari drops in early to deal with Urume, gets Urume up out of there. The only reason I could hypothetically maybe excuse it is maybe by Gojo, like, saying we'll do it on December 24th. Maybe like Miwa, he accidentally instated or like instigated or started up a binding vow or something. But if there's no binding vow on it, why not open with Higuruma and then help everyone? Like, especially considering the only thing that may have been dangerous for them to be there for is unlimited void. Gojo's not, like, he's imprecise when he wants to be, but like, he wasn't doing anything all too insane at first. But say you don't want to jump in with everybody, just do what you did. Put Itadori and Higuruma first, catch Sukuna off guard, like have them teleport right behind Higuruma, or right behind Sukuna, have Higuruma activate his domain expansion, get the DP, Sukuna would probably be interested in it regardless, gets the DP, Execution's blade pops up, and Sukuna's like, well, I thought Gojo was going to fight. And they're like, yeah, Gojo is going to fight. And then Gojo teleports in and starts boxing Sukuna, who now no longer has 10 shadows, or Shrine, or whatever he loses from the interaction, if not both. So, like, I don't know why they didn't do this. Especially considering jumping Sukuna seems like a viable option now. If everyone's gotten strong enough that no one here is, like, useless, that the Shiesty Sorcerer, as you can see, the way he's charging in already over here, all prepared, if the Shiesty Sorcerer, who is what, like a grade 2 waiting to be promoted by Nanami to grade 1, and Choso, who's fodder, and Itadori Yuji, who wasn't fodder, but, like, I don't know, he's getting more and more questionable by the day. But with that being the case, why was Gojo going in alone the answer? Why was Kashiro going in alone the answer? Y'all gotta jump this man sooner, not now. It's too late. I don't know. I'm not sure if this retroactively makes Gojo less impressive, or just makes characters more impressive and get them closer to that Gojo tier. Gojo is becoming less special, essentially. And honestly, their plan to take down Sukuna seems more and more idiotic. Especially considering what's revealed about the Executioner's Blade in this chapter, which is a buff in a way and a nerf in a way. Like, dog, if you just had Sukuna get confiscated early on, have him start fighting Gojo, and then at random just have Ui or even Gojo himself just teleport in Higuruma, who still has a technique active, and then just pierce Sukuna or Megura, then perfect. You would have gotten Megumi. But of course, I'm going super long in the tooth about this. Let's actually hop back into the chapter itself. And we see that Sukuna even realizes, on top of that, well, not to the degree of domain amplification, that symbol domains seem to weaken my technique. So, I'm not sure what this means. I'm admittedly not sure, because the only reason I was able to rationalize, especially before it was revealed that symbol domain kicked in to weaken the technique, but the only way I was able to rationalize, like in my head, that dismantles from true form hand body Sukuna didn't immediately eviscerate Kusakabe and Higuruma is because he was holding back. But notably, he doesn't say, I weakened my technique, and then it was further weakened by that symbol domain, not to the degree of domain amplification. He doesn't say anything about that. What he says is, the symbol domain weakened my technique, which implies that he just threw out dismantle. Now, we know he can casually throw a dismantle and then throw out a true dismantle. We see that with Ryu, but like, even still, casual dismantles, he's getting eaten like that. That's crazy. I don't know. This is so wild to me that everyone's so powerful. And once again, it just makes me wonder, why didn't they do this sooner? Though we get to some Jujutsu theory. It ain't game theory, but it's Jujutsu theory with Kusakabe. And he says, alrighty then. I have no idea what kind of voice. I still can't figure out a voice for Kusakabe. Come on, body. Come on, brain. Think of one. Honestly, yeah, I think I'm gonna give him sort of a date western. He's aiming like a man who's in for a good dough. I thought that was gonna kill me, you darn fool. But now we know all his slashes are necessarily capable of bisecting the world. If you just stop and think, it makes sense. He need to charge up a period or some kind of binding vow in order to expand the target of his technique. His projectile slashes are one form of dismantle, and the slash that bisects the world is a strengthened dismantle with an expanded target. Cleave activates once it touches its target, except when in his domain. It's an instant execution if we get caught by Cleave, a point-blank dismantle, or the slash that bisects the world. No amount, I think you could just call it Spatial Slash. If you like, the slash that bisects the world is kind of a mouthful. Spatial Slash, nice, neat, clean, concise. Slash that bisects the world, obtuse, gargantuan, a little bit illiterate. But with that being the case, slash that bisects the world. No amount of curse energy reinforcement, domain amplification, or symbol domains are going to stop those. Most disturbing thing is he's not using them flames from Shibuya. So, sorry for that horrible accent. But with that being the case, I'm sorry, I just want to give Kusakabe a unique voice, and I don't want to give him the Vexen voice. I don't. But He's literally a scientist running experiments, though. He's doing that right now. Do I give him... No one else has the Vexen voice in JJK, right? Other than... Well, Kenjaku did, but now he's gone. Can I give him the Vexen? I'm not going to give him the Vexen voice. I may give him the Vexen voice. But with that being the case, this is some interesting game theory right here. And I'm saying game theory because he is theorizing. And we've already seen that when Higuruma started theorizing about Sukuna, he was wrong. So I would love to take Kusakabe's word here. And for the sake of the argument and for the sake of my sanity, we will, even though I think he may still be wrong about some things. And I'll explain what I think he's wrong about, or could be wrong about, or what could be left up. Because once again, when talking about Sukuna and the discussion of plot armor, I go less with plot armor. I'd rather go with the uncertainty principle and the fact that we know very little about him and why Gay can keep pulling out nonsense and it doesn't make me too mad. But let's go over the assumptions made here. Number one, not all slashes are necessarily capable of bisecting the world. That makes sense. He has the most basic version of his technique, which targets somebody, he chooses a target, then launches it out, and he has the one that bisects the world, which doesn't choose a target and just attacks space in general. Now, this is interesting. I guess he could never perceive him. But I know a lot of people are going to be like, why doesn't he notice the spark? But here's the thing. This is the statement that gets me a little bit worried. He says, if you just stop and think. I'm sorry, Kusakabe, you're now Vexen. A scientist, experiments what I do. Yes. You just stop and think. It makes sense. He need a charge-up period or some kind of binding vow in order to expand the target of his technique. How do you know that? Kusakabe, you don't even have a technique, bucko. How do you know that? Why do you keep making this assumption? Why do you always assume that there's something the most? Because like, let's think. He used it against Gojo. Kashimo lands in not 2 seconds later. He fights up a little bit. They do a little fight. Kashimo lands 3 hits. Sukuna incarnates after the lightning bolt comes at him. Sukuna walks forward. Then I believe Sukuna kind of immediately resorts to the spatial slash. So how much of a charge up time is that really? And like the binding vow thing. Why would there be a binding vow? If he's just targeting space, if he's literally just changing the target, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Like, it's kind of like, how do I put it? I guess it's different from swinging a sword in a different way. But like, for example, right? Let's take this katana. Say I wanted to slice this way. I swing downwards. But then, let's say, for example, I think I want to swing it in a slightly different way. I'm still swinging in the same downwards motion. I'm still attacking the same thing, it's same general thing, but I just want to swing it slightly differently. Differently enough that it does something unique to the original slash. Instead of slicing through cleanly, it slices through something like in a slightly different way. Like I changed the angle of the katana or something slightly. It's still the same general motion. That's how I view Dismantle in the expansion of its target. It's the reason why I think Sukuna was able to pull it off so easily. Like, once again, he saw Mahoraga do it once. It was like, oh, that's all you have to do? Okay, boom. And he did it. I don't think the spatial slash is actually that complicated in concept. It kind of just... But I guess to a degree it would be. Because if I had to think of comparison to it, it's kind of like... In RPGs, typically, if you're fighting multiple enemies at once... Let me go to Fire Emblem Engage. I'm still playing that game. I need to complete the DLC. I shouldn't have bought the DLC, but I need to complete the DLC. But hypothetically, right? There are attacks in that game which attack multiple people. But say there are 3 enemies lined in front of me, and I'm playing Alear, and I only have 1 blade on me, or I have my attack. I can choose to attack 1 character. That's what Sukuna does with regular dismantle slashes. But with Spatial Slash, what he does is he essentially just attacks the area. Instead of assigning a target, he just throws it out. And then to it throwing out, it cleaves through space, bisects the world itself. And that leads to it. So I guess it is a complicated process, but I don't know. The binding vow, the charge up time, I think all that, too bold of an assumption to be making. Especially against Sukuna, who knows more about the system than any of you do. The next thing. This is concerning, if this is true. His projectile slashes are a form of dismantle. Now that's the thing, a form of. If Spatial Slash is dismantle, that means that Sukuna had to throw it out. And that means that dismantle travels. I know a bunch of people have been saying, well, of course dismantle travels. Pencil, why did you think it didn't travel? I was trying to rationalize Gojo not dodging it. How did he not notice his infinity getting cut through and try to move? Because that's the thing. The way I rationalize Spatial Slash working in the sense that Gojo couldn't dodge it is the idea that, oh, well, if it just appears, which seemed to be coordinated somewhat by the Kashimo fight, but though admittedly, I saw people, and now, retrospect, brain blast, going off Kusakabe's explanation here, in 238, what seems weird is that the slash that leaves a gash in the earth, specifically at a point where it split off Kashimo's hand after he dodged it, and it split Kashimo's attack. Notably, the space between Sukuna and where that slash impacts, nowhere near. There's no damage to the earth in between those 2 points. It's just where the slash impacts and Sukuna himself. So, for a slash that bisects the world, if it were to travel, I would think it would leave a massive gap between where Sukuna releases the attack from the point of his fingertip all the way there, but it didn't. So that, plus Gojo not being able to react to it or perceive it at all, despite it being a danger to him, I thought, oh, well, it just doesn't travel. But as Kusakabe says here, and the slash that bisects the world, Spatial Slash. I'm probably going to go back to this voice. I'm sorry, I'm so indecisive on Kusakabe's voice. There's some characters I just cannot figure out a voice for. I just need to watch the dub and steal that voice. But a slash that bisects the world is a strengthened dismantle with an expanded target. So it's just a dismantle. But the projectile slashes are a form of dismantle. So this could hypothetically mean the dismantle or Spatial Slash doesn't travel. It's a unique variation of it, since dismantle is it can take the form of a projectile slash, or it could mean that all dismantles are projectile slashes, including Spatial Slash, and that means Gojo just didn't dodge. And like, sure, the attack is very, very quick, obviously. But like, say the infinity, because it's Gojo, it's very, very close, right? Say the infinity is this far apart. The moment he felt it come in contact with the infinity and started to feel it get cleaved, he should have moved. He should have done something and not just stand there. I don't know. It's crazy to me that that's the case. But I mean, if that's the case, that's the case. But once again, I'm saying it's game theory, Jujutsu theory, because this is Kusakabe making the assumption. And this is interesting. Cleave activates once it touches the target, except when its target is within its domain. So this is weird, but does kind of make sense. Cleave, at least the one major example I can think of Cleave being used is when he uses Cleave spiderweb on the building that he, Maki, and Yuji were standing on. He makes contact with it, and then boom, it splits. But I'm a little confused. He has to touch the target every time he uses Cleave. I guess. Yeah, I mean, this doesn't seem illogical, and I presume this is where the wording gets a little bit funny. Cleave activates once it touches its target. I'm assuming it in this scenario is Sukuna, not Cleave. Because what do you mean Cleave activates once it touches its target? Would that mean Cleave is like a non-active thing as it travels through the air, and then once it hits something, then it expands into a slash? I think what Kusakabe is saying here, I'll need the officials for this one. I think Kusakabe is saying once Sukuna makes contact, Sukuna's the it here, then he uses Cleave, and then your arm splits, or whatever the target is. That's how I want to rationalize it, because this otherwise doesn't make sense. Because if you say Cleave is the it here, it activates once it touches its target. I mean, yeah, most techniques do that, but that would also imply it's a projectile slash, because it doesn't do anything. It's not a slash until it makes contact, which feels weird. But, of course, I may be reading too much into it. And then this is fine. And he does bring up a good point here. The fact that he's not using the flames from Shibuya is just a teeny tiny bit concerning. Just an itty bitty little bit. Just a little bit. A lot of it. Because realize he could just light them all up. Remember the flames that 15 Finger Sukuna launched out. Just, they made an explosion so massive it was bigger than numerous buildings. If he just did that and aimed it at the ground, everyone would perish. But he's playing around right now. Presumably, but I don't know. And we see that he says, considering it had enough firepower to exercise that special green volcano head spirit, we'd be toast if he turned it on us. Worrying about it won't be any help. It'll be easier just to assume he can't use it for whatever reason. Once again, I would keep it in mind. I wouldn't assume he can't use it. I think, once again, in a similar vein to Higuruma assuming he can't use 10 shadows and Higuruma assuming that he was in control, didn't work out all too well. Assuming that the case would confiscate his curse technique and not Kamutoke, didn't work out all too well. So when it comes to Ryomen Sukuna, I believe the last thing you should be making are assumptions. But we see that Kusakabe mainly worries as he says, Higuruma, can you still move? We see Higuruma's like, whew, I'll be real. We ain't got no problems. Anyway, I'm sorry. We got the death penalty, but confiscation was applied to that cursed tool, not Sukuna himself, which is true. And we see that Kusakabe's like, hey, I'll be real with you, dog. Watch that guy with the pencils video. He'll explain why ultimately that was the best case scenario for us. And honestly, that's plenty. Ending things with that sword seems to be the simplest way to wrap things up. I'll protect you even if it slays me. So Kusakabe, look above. Once again, I wasn't familiar with this game as he unsheathes the katana. He's prepared. How do you have a smudge on you? I haven't used you. But with that being the case, actually, I think I may have grabbed myself. Like, what's actually, because I nearly cut myself in this thing. But with this being the case, Kusakabe, he's about the business. He is locked in, and I can respect it. Though admittedly, he does have a Kusakabe moment where he's like, "Oh wait, seriously? Am I gonna fall here? I mean, those words did come out of my own mouth, so I guess I am liable. Shoot." So he doesn't wanna, but he's here. He's signing in for work for no pay. So shout out to Broski. Shout out to Broski. And we see Sukuna's like, oh, well. At the very least, they've upped their defense. I'll go for the legs next. So, Sukuna, he's caught off guard by their ability to survive his attacks and their general overall increase in strength, which makes, once again, the scaling here is a little bit weird. Like, how much does this actually scale to Sukuna? But with it being the case, he's just excited now. He's like, okay, so y'all have gotten a little bit better. Let's have a bit more fun then. And we see, oh man, oh my boy, my beautiful, beautiful donut. I'm sorry, bro. It happens to the best of us. Choso. No, not my son. Not my boy. My 150-year-old boy. But we see Choso. He claps it up. He aims, he rubs his hands together, he's warming up the PB&J for his little brother, Yuji Itadori. And we see that Sukuna decides to have a little more fun. Oh, wait, one thing I want to comment on. Where is he looking? What are they doing? I think Gege just puts the eyes in places that have that. Why is this one looking forward? Why is this one looking to the side? Why is this one looking over? Is it literally like a multi-perception? Like, I can't make my eyes look away from each other. They follow each other naturally because it's how. Like if I try to look both ways at the same time, both my eyes just glitch back and forth. I don't even know how that looks on camera. Yeah, I can't make my eyes do the little magic dance to make them look in their proper direction. But with that being the case, Broski, did you just have lazy eye? Like why? Let's look at over there. Like let's actually look. Who's to the right of him? Like, you can't even see, like, I mean, like, I forget what our range of vision is as people with front-facing eyes. Notably, I'm not sure about all this. For all my ecologists in the comment section, feel free to correct me. I think the reason we have front-facing eyes and why most predators do is because that's more for hunting and, like, looking at things. Like, anything that eats other things that's not plants, I think we all have front-facing eyes, from lions to humans to... But then again, apes don't really hunt things, and they have front-facing eyes. They're herbivores, for the most part. So I don't know. That's the thing with canines. But essentially, most of the time, we have front-facing eyes to, like, look forward and look directly. But of course, with that, we only get, like, at best, like, I think 180-degree vision? Like, if I put my hands here, I have to do this. If I'm looking straight ahead, I can't see my hands. Like, if I'm looking straight ahead, even with my peripheral vision, I cannot see my hands. I can see them when I do my eyes like this, but I can't see them perfectly. But even then, when I take those down, and I try to look all the way to the left, the most I can see is, like, here. Like, this is how far it goes. So that's a bit beyond 180 if I'm looking to the left. But then, of course, I lose right perception. So maybe this is Sukuna just big brain reading the entire field. But at least to me, It just looks like his one eye is like bored with the conversation, is looking elsewhere. Of course, we see Sukuna decide, shall we make it a race, brats? And once again, look at where are you looking, bro? Why are you looking that way? Everyone else is focused on the conversation, and then you're just over here looking everywhere but the conversation. But we see that Itadori has lost the one thing that made him special. Where before it was just he who was a brat. Now everyone's a brat. And Choso charges up that PB&J as Sukuna stands there. And okay, I guess the eye's looking at Choso. I guess. For like a back angle sort of thing. And the eyes, like his eye here is kind of on his like right cheek. So like if I were to move my eye, shift it downwards and put it this way, I guess I would be able to see Choso out the corner of it. So Choso, you should have been directly behind him. As we see Sukuna just dips, vanishes, all before the PB can reach him. Someone calc this. Someone calc it, please. Because we see Sukuna perception blitz Choso as Choso's eyes widen and turn to pinpricks as he's like, he disappeared, and boom! Straight through the chest, bro. See the chest and the belly, bro. Got turned into a figure 8. He's figure 8'd. He's a double donut. Oh no. Sukuna Red Demon Slayer was like, no, I can do it better, and did it twice. He said, Akaza, watch this. And he made Akaza watch. 2-for-1 combo. A special. A double order. Man. Why? Why did they do my boy Choso so dirty? I get why they did him dirty, though, because no one here can use RCT. No one here can use RCT, but Choso's half curse. So I think that's the only reason Gege was willing to give him some lethal damage. Because while this does look bad, right? Like, obviously, him getting Perception Blitzed and pierced straight through when he's supposed to be one of the stronger characters here, presumably, is supposed to look very, very bad. But, like, he'll be fine. I hate that way, though. But he will be fine. It's our boy. It's our boy. Don't worry. Our son will be alright. Mainly because he is half curse, half human. He can regenerate himself to some degree. And if not that, he can hold himself together with blood manipulation. So he'll be fine. He'll be fine. He's coughing up some juice, but that's just extra ammo. See all that extra ammo right there? He'll be fine. And we see as Itadori screams, Choso! He does, in fact, get caught by... Choso does get caught by Itadori, which is sweet. And then we get to a pretty weird interaction here. I'm not sure what happens here. Like, why? Who threw Ino? Like, maybe I'm missing something here. Oh, okay. Now. See, this is why I do reviews. I do live reactions, then reviews, then quick reviews, because now I can finally see it. I'll admit, Gaze are looking a little rough this chapter from time to time, and this is one of them. I could not tell what happened here, because here, if you're not looking at it hard enough, like me, you just see Ino somehow magically get the blade, and it looks like, or the blade's thrown up to him, and it looks like Sukuna is the one who, like, threw the blade to the Shiesty Sorcerer. But I was like, how does that happen? Why would Sukuna have that blade? You can see here as Itadori catches Choso, there's the cleaver right there, and Sukuna reacts. And see, the thing is, there is a motion line. There is a whole sound effect for it. So that's my fault for not seeing it the first time, but I was still confused. Because the sound effect, I couldn't even tell what this was. It's so... I hate to say it, but it's kind of sloppily drawn. I get the motion behind it, but, like, I couldn't tell if it was this or this, but I think it's supposed to be this. But the blade comes in, Sukuna reacts, casually flicking his right arm up. You see that. He knocks it straight into the hands, the alley-oop of the Shiesty Sorcerer himself, Ino, as he leaps down with the dull blade and goes right on Sukuna's arm. And we see the ratio technique is activated. And boom, Sukuna's pushed into the ground. He's budged. Sukuna got budged. Isn't that crazy? Sukuna got budged by Ino, wielding the ratio technique that did basically 0 damage to Dagon. But Kashimo couldn't make Sukuna flinch. Does anyone else find that bad? Like, that's crazy that Ino, wielding the ratio technique, has a more concrete feat to transform Sukuna than Kashimo does. At least he made Sukuna block with a whole arm and pushed him into the ground. That's more than Kashimo can lay claim to. And we see that Sukuna realizes, oh, wait a minute. That was stronger than I imagined. Oh, I see. That dull thing. They made the 7-3 sorcerer's technique into a cursed tool. Which is nice. That is implied. It's with Garuda. And a lot of people theorize that the inverted spear of heaven was actually originally Angel's weapon, but it was infused with their technique. And that's why it turns off the 4 stoppage of cursed techniques and stuff like that. It was actually infused with Angel's ability. But yeah, this is a nice little mechanic. This is a nice little way to pay homage to Nanami. Once again, I do kind of wish he just drew the polka dots all the time, but you can tell he just didn't do it. But with it being the case, I always did wonder, why does he use a dull blade? Is that explained? Why doesn't he use a sharper blade? I don't know. But with that being the case, the ratio technique is accessible by the cast and crew again, which is nice. Nice little homage to Nanami. This does clean up and wrap up the plot point of what Ito was coming to tell Gojo, most likely. And honestly, I genuinely think if Gojo was wielding the ratio technique, he may have been able to go crazy on Sukuna. But of course, Ito has it. And that is nice enough to see. And once again, of course, it's so hard. Because he just perception was Choso. But now you're telling me Ito's faster than Choso to the point where he can react to a casual standing kick from Sukuna and only be sent flying? Not have the blade break or nothing? The blade break. The blade break or nothing? Door. 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 I don't know if I'm vibing with all that right there, bro. Oh, shoot, don't fall. I'm not sure if I'm vibing with all that. Now you got me taking a sip to reconsider the ramifications of my own actions, bro. Hold on. I know I wasn't familiar with Ino's game either. I don't know, broski. They're telling me the same man who got his whole shiesty ripped off of him by Toji Zenin is out here reacting to 20-finger Sukuna. I don't know. He's gotten stronger. It's confirmed he's gotten stronger because his curse energy reinforcement fundamentals are much better, according to Sukuna himself. But like, that's a big leap. That's a big leap. So I want to assume Sukuna's holding back with his spread out toes and all. But someone did bring up a good point. Considering how heavy Sukuna is and like how tall he is, it's very likely that he probably does need to spread out his toes for like extra balance. That's what your toes are there for. Like people who even lose something as what you would think is inconsequential as their like left little toe or right little toe, they experience balance issues because all your toes are used for balance. Like your body's very well optimized for functioning as it does. So even just a loss of one tiny little limb like that or piece of a limb, I suppose the limb would be your foot, and then the toe would be an accessory limb. Like, just one little accessory limb. It can cause a whole bunch of problems. So Sukuna having to, like, fan his feet out in order to keep balance to the point where it's so natural for him that he spreads it out on the kicks that he does. I actually kind of like that detail. It's a nice way to build into the idea that Sukuna's top-heavy or super-duper girthy. And thusly, he needs to take more time to, like, balance himself out, especially when moving quickly. I like it. And we see Ino's like, whoa, that's heavy. Sweet mother of mercy, I'm going to go flying into the vicinity. And he does get knocked away. And unfortunately, we do not see the Shiesty Sorcerer for the rest of this chapter, but presumably he's still alive. And we see both Kusakabe and Itadori Yuji lunging around Sukuna. They're ready to give him some smoke as he knocked away Kusakabe. Knocked away Ino. And with that being the case, we see that Yuji ends up playing defensively, as we see Sukuna swings his arms, sending out dismantles for both of them. At least that's what I think happens here. Once again, it's kind of hard to tell, but notably, Kusakabe nor Yuji actually engage in attack. They both seem to engage in defense, as Yuji raises his arms to block what I think is the dismantle. Which I think is the dismantle, which does fit into the theory that everyone has that Yuji does have some sort of extra resilience to it, because notably he takes very little, if any, damage at all from the dismantle. Meanwhile, Kusakabe, he does get slashed again, and we see the swing of his blade reflect the dismantles that went to come and get him. Though, of course, this was all a setup. As Sukuna was baited in, I'm mixing all the names up. Higuruma comes in with the barrel roll flip over Kusakabe to go and swing for Sukuna's dome piece. And we see that it was so like they literally missed him by a few hairs. The executioner's blade was swung so fast that Sukuna, despite diving it head first, was able to shoot, and he weaves it just barely with a grin on his face as Higuruma swung through, unfortunately whiffing that bad boy. And with that whiff, I don't know if y'all play fighting games, but whenever you whiff a attack with a whole bunch of end lag, like a barrel roll into a slash, a backslash for my Smash players out there. If you whiff that, buddy, you're in Combo City. And we see Sukuna goes for the command grab into the, well, not really a command grab, he goes for the basic grab into a pummel as he starts to beat Higuruma up. And then we see that Sukuna's like, we're just having fun here. Let's have some fun, bro. Let's do it. And we see he grabs Higuruma by the scruff of his coat and just throws that man Mach speed, which is great. Like, look at this. He straight tosses him like a shot put. Just like, hey, and throws Higuruma as hard as he can through numerous buildings, no less. Like, through here, out the other side of the structure, and keeps going. And then we see, I assume Kusakabe yell, "Go, Itadori! Don't let him get Higuruma alone!" And we see Sukuna started the dash, Itadori starts to chase him, and we see the race between these two. One of my favorite panels in the whole series right here. Itadori dashing, only to be complemented by Sukuna hitting the dash too, bro, with a big old grin. It's beautiful. I love it. And the thing is, though, on fort, Yuji Itadori, never fast enough or strong enough to save those he cares for, as he declares, "He's too fast!" And Sukuna does get away from him. So, this does raise a question. I've heard mixed things. I've heard that 215 was actually mistranslated, and that ultimately Sukuna's physicals and his curse energy output were nerfed to 10%. Not just his curse technique output. And I guess that would make sense, because the only reason that Yuji, after a month of training, getting his curse energy reinforcement leveled up, and all that, getting blood manipulation and all that, the only reason he should be so much slower than this Sukuna is if Sukuna's body got better, and or Sukuna's physicals were nerfed to like a 10th. Like, I have no idea. I personally haven't seen the new translation. I would need to check Viz. I mean, the website I use does happen to have the official translations. They update the official translations, and mine still says it's just the outputs that got lowered of his curse technique, not his physicals. But especially considering this is literally physical movements, like in terms of movement speed, this is what Itadori should be more than capable of keeping up with if the stats are uniform across the body. Now, if you're like me, who believes that the base body does matter, this does make sense. Sukuna is much bigger, beefier, faster, longer legs, stronger. So to explain why Itadori, even after a month of training, is not able to keep up with his speed. At least in my mind. That rationalizes all that for me. That is so sad, bro. Yuji, I mean, especially considering what happens towards the end of this chapter, it is nigh on impossible for Yuji to beat the not main character allegations. Because bro is getting done dirty after his power up. Bro got one little display of making Sukuna jiggle, and now he's just been reduced to background fodder, bro. He's not background fodder, but like it's not looking hot for the man. As Sukuna escapes him. And we see Higuruma does manage to land, blade and all. And with that being the case, he doesn't get a moment's rest with the Executioner's Blade, which is like a little bit rough here, I'm not gonna lie. Executioner's Blade at hand. As Sukuna comes in and he's like, let's have a bit of fun. And presumably, I'm not sure what he launches off here. I'm not sure if this is a dismantle, a cleave, maybe a fire arrow. I'm not sure what he does here, but he does unleash some sort of attack. You can even tell by how his hands are posed. And I love how he's portrayed here in the shadow. But then we cut back to a time past, as we see Maki said, where are you? Ooh, I have no clue. Ooh, please come back. But of course, we see Maki Zen and Yuta Kotsu along with Kiara and Nakari. No Kashimo. But Inumaki in the background, that filth. Wait, is that Kakumo? No, that's Akari's pants. But that filth. Gay. I thought you had spared me. I thought you had spared me one chapter without that thing, but I still see it. You couldn't hide him from me. That waste. That disgusting excuse. I can't believe you would do this to me, Gege. I trusted you. Did you include that thing? I bet you thought you could escape my eye. But no. I hope somebody eats you, you waste. Hi, guys. Sorry. I don't know who that person was. He comes out whenever that thing is on screen. You can't hide from me. But, that being the case, we see that Itadori believes that ultimately there is a good way to save Fushiguro. And Itadori asks Higuruma to explain, even though he does admit that it may be a little bit uncomfortable to explain a lot about the curse technique. And we see Higuruma go on and be like, hey, broski, don't worry about it. We have to use every resource that is available to us. Higuruma explains, those cut by the executioner's sword will perish without exception. However, the target will, without fail, be limited to one sentenced. The judgeman can differentiate the multiple souls within an incarnated body. That was already demonstrated by Itadori. Even if Sukuna is the one that receives the sentencing and is cut with the sword, we should be able to retrieve the sleeping, unharmed Fushiguro Megami. And we get the one line of Maki in like 15 years. Gege, please! I know she's waiting in the cut, and this chapter kind of establishes why. But she says, oh, wow, hey, that's pretty rad. Or handy. I don't know where I got rad from. And Yuta even nods a bit here. But, once again, I go back to the idea, why was this not the opener then? Now, we don't know if Megami's body can revert back to its original state. It's already fully incarnated. Why would you not open with this? And then, I don't know, if you can hand off the Executioner's Blade to somebody else, if someone else other than Higuruma can hold it, you can hand it off to somebody else, especially considering it's not lethal for other people. Because the one thing that I may have thought, why, okay, only Higuruma can wield it. Maybe this is a Higuruma exclusive thing, all of that, yada yada. I thought the Executioner's Blade was like the one-hit obliterator from the Breath of the Wild Champions Ballad DLC. Essentially, no matter who you were, what you were, whether you were the sentenced or not, if you were touched, slashed, hit by the Executioner's Blade, like the one-hit obliterator, I thought it would one-tap you. No matter what. It would instantly get you. Just gone. Just like that. That's what I thought the Executioner's Blade was. But if it really can just differentiate between souls and just a regular sword, unless it's hitting the one who's accused with the DP, why is this not the opener? Just teleport Higuruma in and have him slash Maguna. Like, that's the way you have Megami's body saved and still in Megami's body form. You don't go through the endless amounts of trauma that Megami's body's undergone. And Sukuna doesn't incarnate. Why would you not open with this if it was that simple? And you knew. This isn't some new revelation. You knew this before the final battle. I know Kashima would have been mad, but just beat him up. Get him out of the way. If he's not going to help, get him out the way, bro. That's so sad, bro. Why did they not open with this? If it's that, and honestly, I'll be real. If the Executioner's Blade isn't lethal for everybody, stab Sukuna through somebody else. Like literally, like I think of this moment in particular right here. Or well, you could just argue Higuruma could stab him right here, right now. But like in terms of when someone's connected to Sukuna, when Choso's on his arm here, why didn't Higuruma come out the cut, go through Choso's super skinny waist and just pierce straight through him? Since Choso wouldn't perish, but Sukuna would instantaneously. Why not go for that? Would you not go for that? Like, dog, why did you fumble so hard, bro? Just stab through somebody. Do it. But of course, we can't be Seventh Reaple. We need all the assets we can get. And we see that ultimately the line from last chapter is brought up by a certain individual. Do you have a death wish, Higuruma? Remember that? And we see that Higuruma's like, talk about out of the blue. And we see Itadori's like, well, even though you can't use reverse curse technique, you're taking a pivotal role in the fight against Sukuna. And we see Higuruma admit that I'm a man who's abandoned and been abandoned by the law. I like to be the one to punish myself in the end. So ultimately, Higuruma views this as a way to repent for all of his crimes that he committed during the Culling Games. So remember, he executed 20 people, and seemingly enough, that entire courtroom that he was initially in when he got a guilty verdict. So obviously, he's feeling some remorse over that. He's like Sukuna, and thusly, unfortunately, he feels that guilt. He's more than ready to go. He steeled himself to end himself, if that means taking down Sukuna, which is a bold and brave and amazing. Once again, Higuruma, for a character who was introduced not 100 chapters ago, man, is he one of the deepest, most well-written, and most impressive characters that Gay has introduced. Yes, it is. It's not even really a competition. He's easily top 10. Honestly, depending on how he goes next chapter, if he doesn't get off screen, which I feel like he may have potentially be top 5. He's just a fantastic character, man. It's crazy. But with that being the case, we see that Higuruma actually somewhat adopts Yuji's mindset, or Yuji's old mindset, or maybe current mindset still, as he says. It's just as you say. I think I should play my role to its completion and perish in this fight. Which he may end up doing anyway without fulfilling his role to completion. And we see Itadori say, hey, honestly, I do understand where you're coming from. I even feel kind of similar. But still, I don't know. I just can't help but wonder if you should go back. So, presumably Itadori means go back to the regular life. Go back to the good life. Higuruma's an awakened sorcerer. He wasn't meant to live this life. But of course, Higuruma's like, don't say such ridiculous things. I've become someone who can't even look you in the eye anymore. So, ultimately, Higuruma's guilt is so strong for even attempting to argue or beat down or execute someone as innocent and pure as Yuji Itadori. Someone who ultimately stood between him and a life of just never-ending cycles of the end over and over and over again. Ultimately, he is now free in the sense that he believes he has his role. And with that role accomplished, he can do whatever he wants to get away from this. And with that, I must say, something seems but a little bit suspicious. A little bit suspicious indeed. Batman, and with that being the case, Batman, I'm sorry, I don't know why that variation of the joke just broke out of me. Happens from time to time. But with that being the case, while we see that Higuruma is willing and ready to throw his life away in repentance for all that he's done, Higuruma is in fact not simply going to give up until the job is done. And we see whatever Sukuna launched here. I'm still not sure what it is. I think maybe it is Mantle, based on the fact that the arm is slash here, and I don't think that slash was there before. We see that Higuruma Hiromi, after witnessing it, what? Once? Twice? Thrice, maybe? After just seeing it, after getting the fundamentals down, and having it explained to him somewhat. No one even explained it to him. No one else could perform domain amplification on our hero side, except for Higuruma. Not even Gojo could perform domain amplification as far as we know. But Higuruma figured it out. And even Sukuna was like, whoa, wait a minute. Domain implication. He nullified my technique. Higuruma is the greatest prodigy in all of Jujutsu Kaisen. I think that's pretty clear. I like, as crazy as Yuta was with his progression and growth, as crazy as Geto, as Gojo, as all these people are, the end of the chapter statement isn't even right, in my opinion. Because after witnessing domain application so many times, Gojo didn't learn it. Or at least he never used it. Higuruma's different, dog. He's so different. And I love how the aura glows around him. And we see that Nera declares, Higuruma had already awakened as a sorcerer a mere 2 months ago. It was developing at a tremendous speed. Sukuna found himself completely enthralled from the dazzling light of his lethal blade that once again shone to the unbounded talent that rivals even Gojo Satoru. Everyone who knows Higuruma mutters the same thing. That guy's a genius. And yes, he is. As he spits out and gets ready, Higuruma stands tall against the monster that is Ryomen Sukuna. Good thing. I've heard a lot of people being like, oh, this is stupid, this is dumb, Higuruma shouldn't be Gojo level, and I'm like, he's not Gojo level, he has potential that rivals Gojo. In my opinion, that surpasses it, just based on how quick he's learning for someone who, what? I mean, sure, he's been in like 20 battles his entire life, but like, once again, it's over the course of 2 months. Like, bro he's super new. He's even newer to this game than Itadori is. And he's still moving like this. He's still moving crazy like this. So shouts to my boy Higuruma. But of course, we're on break next week. I remember the last time someone got a super cool moment and appeared really, really strong. That was maybe named something to Gojo. They got off screen. And don't get me wrong, here's the thing, right? I'm very 50-50 because this is very clearly a hype panel. And just like Gojo 235 got a hype panel, I fear something like that could happen. But at the same time, maybe we don't. Even though there's break, even though this would be the perfect setup, get everyone all excited and hyped for Higuruma, get them liked a whole bunch, only to execute him immediately off screen. JJ feels like the kind of fellow to do that. And at the same time, look at Yuta. Yuta has seemingly, hey, he seems to be fine. Do I believe he's fine? No. I think Kenny's not cooked yet. But, hey, Yuta seems to be fine. We haven't gotten the man with the stitches showing up yet. And honestly, once again, with that final finger still in play, with the merger still likely being a thing that's going to happen, with all that still transpiring, Sukuna could actually fall to Higuruma. Would that be embarrassing? Absolutely. It'd be embarrassing for Yuji Itadori, but it'd be amazing for Higuruma. And honestly, I'm not even mad that this character is taking up so much precedence when characters like Maki aren't, when characters like Itadori aren't, when characters like Choso aren't, because I still really like Higuruma's character. I'm just worried that the man's going to get off-screened. That's the one thing I'm worried about, because it seems like way too much hype from Gege just to let him live all nice, smooth, and buttery. I wouldn't be shocked if we opened up with Higuruma in the airport next chapter. But overall, you couldn't tell by my domain expansion, Horizon of the Captivating Yapper, going on for this long, and the pre-draw at the side of the chapter. Most certainly, this chapter is undeniably worthy. I love everything about it. The only thing, I will admit, I'm going to get on Gege's case a little bit. Some of the art could use some work. Let me pull up some panels, because there are a couple of panels that are somewhat hard to read due to the compositing and like lack of detail and stuff like that. And some things just lack detail. There are certain things. But just a quick thing on the art, especially considering like there's a whole like page worth of just words. But let's see. I guess because a lot went into the color page this week too. But for little art things here, I do have to admit the lazy eye in Sukuna, I think it's purposeful, but the lack of detail in Sukuna's musculature and general face detailing is a little bit wacky. Like he's missing a whole tattoo line there. The vagueness of this entire thing, like I could barely tell that's the ratio blade. I had to look through and read that much better, much closer than I think. This is a little bit of a rough drawing of Sukuna, no hair detailing. The Shishi Sorcerer, once again, Sukuna just looking a little bit rough here. The Shishi Sorcerer blade having no detail, the lack of detail in Sukuna's knuckles and stuff like that. Like the only reason I'm so critical of Gege is because I've seen Gege do better. Sometimes in the very same chapter, like he can do hair detailing, he can do hand detailing on images of similar scale. He even does feet detailing on images that are smaller than this image right here. So I'm only getting on him like that. But once again, I could never be a mangaka. I will never be a mangaka. And Gege is infinitely better as a writer, a creator, and definitely an artist. So do not take my criticisms as me being like, oh, I could do better. I could not. But with that being the case, another little thing. Hard to tell what's happening here. I'm assuming Dismantle. And another thing of hard to tell what's happening, but I'll assume Dismantle or something, is this explosion thing right here. I'm not sure what this is. Whether it be Flame Arrow or Dismantle or something of the sort, I have no clue. But, of course, for why the chapter's worthy, sorry, I just want to go a little art tirade there. I love the fact that the crew's jumping in. Sure, they're not accomplishing much. They're not accomplishing much. But they are doing good. Kusakabe stocks through the roof. Higuruma stocks through the roof. Sukuna admitting that they're stronger. Fantastic. That just makes this post-time skip character cast much stronger than their original selves. Kind of explains whatever weird scaling stuff happens. I'm down with it. Sukuna's vagueness and yet enjoying of this development, very, very nice. Love that he smiles and enjoys it. Choso still being alive, getting perception blitzed. I mean, I actually kind of like it. It's kind of funny. And then, of course, the Shiesty Sorcerer coming in with Nanami's Blade, wrapping up that plot line. I'm down with it. Do I think it'll do much? No. It is kind of weird. I don't know. It looks like it's whatever. Minor stuff, minor art stuff. But still, very, very nice, very, very neat. I do like how this ends up coming out. I love how Ito's not immediately one-tapped. I love how no one, I mean, other than Choso, no one's really immediately one-tapped in this chapter. And obviously, you know, I gotta appreciate Itadori and Sukuna continuing their little back and forth and Higuruma's potential. So overall, an amazingly W chapter. Now, as my computer begins to scream, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave generational talent in the comment section down below. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. You things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You can also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dago the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays, Red Wolf 4765, Greyhound, and Akid's Void. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons, Victor, Sean, Midnight Gemlord, Kevin, Demix LND, and Igneal. And I'd like to give a chunky old thank you to our $7 member, Autumn's Morning Lazo. And I'd like to give another chunka thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha, Joaquin, Idemokami, and China Doll 09. I'd like to give a hefty thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give another giga gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.